y'all, it's Belle. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my January anticipated releases. I didn't do one for December because there wasn't enough really. And then November was during my funk, so I didn't do one. I haven't done a sit down video in so long, so this is kind of weird. I don't know when this is going to go up, but I know it will be after Christmas. It's Christmas Eve when I'm filming this, so that's why it's still Christmassy. On January 3rd in the US is 2 sequels. The first is the second book in the Unforgettable Logan Foster series. It's the Unforgettable Logan Foster and the Shadow of Doubt by Sean Peters. And I love that first book so much. It was such a good time. So I'm so excited for that. And then also on January 3rd in the US, the third book in the Sinister Summer series by Kirsten White, Camp Creepy. And I love the first 2 books so much. And Random House Kids sent me the third book as like they did the second one. The first one I bought myself. So I have it and I'm going to be reading it very soon and I'm so excited. Also on January 3rd in the US is Sincerely Sicily by Tamika Burgess. Cicely Jordan's worst nightmare has come true. She's been enrolled in a new school with 0 of her friends and stuck wearing a fashion catastrophe of a uniform. But however bad Cicely thought 6th grade was going to be, it only gets worse when she does her class presentation. While all her classmates breeze through theirs, Cicely is bombarded with questions on how she can be both Black and Panamanian. She wants people to understand, but it doesn't feel like anyone is ready to listen. First at school and then at home, because when her abuela starts talking mess about her braids, Cicely's the only one whose heart is being crumpled for a second time. Staying quiet may no longer be an option, but that doesn't mean Cicely has the words to show the world just what it means to be a proud Black Panamanian either. Even though she hasn't written in her journal since her abuela passed, it's time to pick up her pen again. But will it be enough to prove to herself and everyone exactly who she is? Sounds like such an important read. And then also on January 3rd in the US, Ablaze by Christopher Curbiton. Allie Thalen doesn't understand what's happening to her. She comes from a very normal family and lives a very normal life. There's only one thing off. When Allie gets angry, things burst into flame. Allie doesn't feel she's in control of this, but as the fires get better and the stakes get higher, something has to be done because it's not just flames Allie's unleashing, it's evil. It says it's for 9 to 12-year-olds, but so I'm very intrigued. It doesn't tell you much, but I'm very intrigued. Also on January 3rd in the US, Sweethearts, and sweet is spelled like a suite at a hotel. Harmony and Heartbreak by Claire Kahn. Cousins Rose and Cora Seville aren't your typical 8th graders. They are matchmakers in training, learning how to magically make love connections out of San Francisco's Hotel Core, where they live in the penthouse suite. As young fledglings, Rose and Cora must perfect their charms and enchantments to pass a test that will determine their future, but they are not prepared for all the drama ahead. Confident, cool Rose, the most promising fledgling of her generation, thinks her magic can help her handle any assignment that's thrown at her. But when she is faced with a bitter rival and headstrong kindling, will she be able to rise to the challenge? As for kind yet complicated Cora, she's usually in her cousin's shadow, but new powers that allow her to see others' emotions might make her a secret weapon in the matchmaking world. Will Cora's special abilities help or hurt her when a crush on a boy puts her matchmaker ethics on the line? It just sounds so different. It sounds amazing. And I'm sick too, so my voice is going to be a little. Also January 3rd in the US, The Fifth Hero, The Race to Erase by Bill Doyle. The Calamity Corporation is determined to end life on Earth as we know it. The company has built hotels that orbit Earth and small cities on the moon and has plans to move the human population to Mars. The Sinister Corporation is determined to ruin Earth so that people have no choice but to leave it. So fast, 4 kids who secretly possess the powers of land, air, sea, and creatures are about to change the course of history. These kids may not be the likeliest of heroes, but they are determined to stop Calamity Corporation from destroying Earth, and they have a secret weapon, a 5th hero, you. Throughout the book, there are 3 chances for you to help change the course of the story alongside our fearless team. Choose incorrectly and it's game over, but choose wisely and you might save the planet. I usually don't like to choose your own type of story, but something about that one. Or I won't say I won't like it because I've never read one yet. I just don't think I'm going to, so they just don't sound like something, I don't know, it's hard, whatever. But that one sounds good. Also on January 3rd in the US, Ryan Reese and the Broken Moon by Matt Guzman. Everyone keeps secrets, and all kids keep secrets from their parents. But what if your secret were so big, so terrible, and so impossible no one would believe you anyway? Ryan Rice hides such a secret. To an outside observer, Ryan may seem somewhat average, a troubled kid from a broken home coping with his personal pile of problems. A snarky 13-year-old can only deal with so much. The night the moon cracks changes him forever. When the moon breaks, it starts a chain of events leading him on the greatest adventure of his life. By his side, a shadowy figure from another universe, whom Rye calls the Shadow Man. Together they must fight the evil powers beyond Rai's understanding. It forces him to muster up the strength, bravery, and grit he never knew he had. And the countdown until complete collapse continues. Will Rai be able to stitch the men back together before his universe completely unravels? And can he reverse what's happening to his helpless mom? Also on January 3rd in the US, This Is How I Roll by Debbie Machiko Florence. Susanna Makami dreams of becoming a famous sushi chef like her dad. And this summer she plans to learn everything about his traditional kitchen. Only he refuses to teach her and won't tell her why. Is it because he doesn't want her to embarrass him in front of the documentary crew filming at his restaurant? Or worse, because she's a girl? Either way, Sana decides he's not the only one who can keep secrets. So when she meets Koji, a cute boy who wants to help her cook up some trouble in the kitchen and film online tutorials to show the world her mad skills, Sana is all in. But sneaking around means lying to her parents, something Sana has never done before. Can she take the heat, or will she get out of the kitchen for good? And on January 5th in the UK, The Detention Detectives by Liz Jordan. Finding a dead body at my new school was a pretty rubbish way to start, but actually getting mixed up in the case, I was bound to get into deep trouble for that. Murder comes to Hanbridge High, and 3 year 7 misfits want to solve the crime. New boy Jono hopes playing detective will convince his parents that moving to Hanbridge was a big mistake. School reporter Lydia thinks her new story will sweep everything else off the front page. And young Kara Daniel needs the police to arrest the right culprit for his mom's sake. They may not be friends, but they're about to become the Detention Detectives. Sounds awesome. Also on January 5th in the UK, Saving Neverland by Abby Elphinstone. Number 14, Darlington Road looks like a perfectly ordinary townhouse, at first glance anyway, but magic is good at hiding when it's waiting for the right person to discover it. Martha Pennydrap is 10 and desperate to grow up, but growing up is a tricky business. It means turning your back on imagination, fun, and magic, because those were the things that led to the terrible day when something awful nearly happened to Martha's younger brother, Scruff, which would have been all her fault. But when Martha and Scruff discover a drawer full of mysterious gold dust in the bedroom of their new house, along with a window that's seemingly impossible to close, it's the start of an incredible adventure to a magical world, Neverland. The Pennydrap's new house used to belong to another family, the Darlings, who once visited this world themselves. Now Peter Pan is back and in need of their help. Neverland is in the icy grip of a terrible curse cast long ago by Captain Hook, and only Martha and Scruff can save it. A reluctant Martha and excited Scruff are swept off to Neverland and into the company of the lost kids. But when Scruff is kidnapped, Martha must discover all the imagination, magic, and belief she has buried deep inside herself for so long to save them and Neverland itself. I love a good retelling, and I've loved everything I've read by this author, so I'm very excited for that. And then on January 17th are just some editions that I collect, and this is one of my favorite illustrators that's putting these out. There's a bunch of others coming out in the collection, but unless I'm missing some, these are the main ones I'm excited about. So on January 17th in the US, Anna Green Gables. So beautiful. Oh, and it's Carl James Mountford. Say his name and then don't say why I'm reminding the name. Carl James Mountford is the illustrator of these editions, and he's one of my favorites, so that's why I just said his name all of a sudden. Little Women. And Heidi. And then The Secret Garden. I'm so excited. They all look so beautiful. So on January 17th in the US, The Pottermans Are in the House by Jacquita Namar Feldman. 7th graders Sammy and Maddie are the Potterman twins, the perfect team of two. But Maddie has a secret he's not ready to share with his family yet. And he suddenly quits baseball and stops talking to his sister. With their twin telepathy broken, Sammy doesn't know what to do without her teammate. Becky Potterman is sick of her family only cheering for her cousins, Sammy and Maddie. They all used to be friends, but since everything became about the twins, Becky's felt left out. With her bat mitzvah around the corner, she hopes it'll finally be her turn in the spotlight. But then Hurricane Harvey hits Houston, Texas, and the twins' house is damaged in the flood. Their family moves in with Becky's, which no one is happy about. As their grief, anger, and uncertainty grow, they'll soon finally need each other now more than ever before. With all 9 Pottermans under one roof, can Sammy, Maddie, and Becky find a way to glue their family back together? So on January 17th in the US, Cookie Monsters by Erica J. Kendrick. 12-year-old Brooklyn Ace is ready to take the Valentine World Scouts by storm and build her own cookie empire. She nearly won the top cookie selling spot last year and is determined to make her mom, who recently passed away, proud by coming in first this time around. With her fabulous best friends by her side, Brooklyn knows she'll become Santa Monica's district cookie queen. The crown is practically in the bag. Then Piper Parker arrives. Piper has a rich dad, a fancy hotel, and a drive to steal the cookie crown right off Brooklyn's head. Before long, most of the 7th grade is under Piper's spell, but Brooklyn is in it to win the biggest cookie war the scroll has ever seen. With the help of her cookie squad, her rockstar grandmother, her super cool therapist, and a lot of self-love and inner growth maybe, just maybe, Brooklyn can end up a winner after all. Also on January 17th in the US, The Lost Year by Catherine Marsh. 13-year-old Matthew is miserable. His journalist dad is stuck overseas indefinitely, and his mom has moved in his 100-year-old great-grandmother to ride out the pandemic, adding to his stress and isolation. But when Matthew finds a tattered black and white photo in his great-grandmother's belongings, he discovers a clue to a hidden chapter of her past, one that will lead to a life-shattering family secret. Set in alternating timelines that connect the present day to the 1930s and the U.S. to the USSR, Catherine Marsh's latest novel sheds fresh light on the Holodomor, the horrific famine that killed millions of Ukrainians, in which the Soviet government covered up for decades. Oh, an incredibly timely, page-turning story of family survival and sacrifice, inspired by Marsh's own family history. I'm telling you, so much history was covered up. We'll never know all the things that actually happened in history because it's just it's awful. But I can't wait to read that. It's going to be an important read. Also on January 17th in the U.S., Figure It Out, Henry Weldon by Tarita S. Davis. 7th grader Henrietta Weldon gets to switch schools. Finally! She'll be mainstreaming into public school, leaving her special education school behind. She can't wait for her new schedule, new friends, and new classes. Henry's dyscalculia, a learning disability that makes math challenging to process and understand, is what she expects to give her problems. What she doesn't expect is a family feud with her sister over her new friends, joining the girls' soccer team, and discovering poetry. Henry's tutor and new friend, Vinny, reminds her to take it slow, one problem at a time. If Henry Weldon has 24 hours in a day, and she has 2 siblings who just like her 4 new friends, 2 hours of soccer practice, 7 hours of classes, and 3 hours of homework, she has A, no free time, B, no idea how to make everyone happy, C, no time to figure it out, Henry Weldon. Well, that written up like a math problem. I hated those math problems. Also on January 17th in the U.S., Infinite Questions of Dottie Bing by Molly B. Burnham. 10-year-old Dottie Bing is a problem solver and question asker who is never more gleeful than when she's entering a new dilemma, whether it's her own or someone else's. But when her grandpa Walter comes to stay, he brings the biggest question that Dottie has ever encountered. How do you heal a broken heart? You see, Grandma Walter is grieving the loss of his beloved wife, Dottie's grandma, Ima. Even though she knows every solution starts with a question, for the first time in her life, Dottie isn't sure what to ask. Aww, it just sounds so heartwarming and cute, sad, and different, and I'm just excited to read that. On January 19th in the UK, Valentine Crow and Mr. Death by Jenny Spangler. 12-year-old Valentine Crow has lived his entire life at the Foundling Hospital. Now he and his best friend, Philomena, are leaving to begin their new lives as apprentices. But Valentine has been assigned to Death himself. Valentine finds himself in an impossible situation when his best friend's name appears on the list of souls to take. Can he fight Death to save her soul, or does fate have other ideas? Definitely sounds different. Very intrigued. So on January 19th in the UK, The Wildstorm Curse by Eve Worsaki Morris. A fabled witch, a powerful curse, a monster out for revenge. 13-year-old Callie Tam can't wait to spend a week of her summer holidays at the Wildstorm Theater Camp. She's determined not to let her dyslexia hold her back from achieving her dream of becoming a playwright. The finale of the whole week is a performance in the local village theater. But as soon as she arrives, Callie discovers that the cast will be performing a play written by a 17th century witch, Elizabeth Graveheart. And strange, scary things start happening. Unbeknown to Callie, a dark shadow is stirring in the woodland near Wildstorm. An ancient and dangerous creature has awoken from a centuries-old slumber, and they're out for revenge, putting Callie and all of her new friends in grave danger. That sounds so amazing. I'm so excited. On January 24th in the U.S., Princess of the Wild Sea by Megan Fraser Blakemore. A curse will fall, a hero will rise. Princess Harbor Rose is cursed. She lived her whole life hidden away on a remote island with her magical aunts, following all the rules for being a princess. Now it is only one more year until 13th birthday when a hero will finally arrive to save her from her curse. But as with any story, there are two sides, and the curse told of much more than a single princess's uncertain fate. It told of a dangerous foe rooted in powerful magic. It told of a terrible war that could destroy everything if a young hero didn't arrive in time. It told of a magic imbued with hope that could save everyone, but only if they believe. With her beloved kingdom and island at grave risk, Harbor Rosa has a choice. Shall she wait for the hero or take matters into her own hands? So on January 24th in the U.S., The Islands of Iris by L.M. Brocklow. 3 close friends, Luke, fearless, optimistic, outgoing. Damien, steadfast, self-contained, loyal. And Kaori, smart, strong-minded, determined. Journey across the sea with the Crimson Raiders, their island's fearless champions, to find the sorcerer's finger, rumored to bestow unimaginable power on the one who consumes it. Enough power to vanquish their island's enemies. This fast-paced, engaging story mixes vicious pirates, seductive sirens, gruesome monsters, and so much more as it weaves magic, mayhem, and adventure into a tale of deep friendship told with great style and good humor. Also on January 24th in the US, Heroes of Haven Song, Dragon Boy by Megan Race. Blue, River, Ren, and Shenley grew up on different sides of a war they didn't start. Their land has been torn apart over centuries of conflict, with humans taught to fear all things magical, dragons driven to near extinction, and magic under attack. But an ancient prophecy has put the four of them on a collision course with destiny and with each other in a mission to heal the fractured realm once known as Haven. All of them must follow the threads of fate, leaving behind the lives and homes they knew, to discover the truth about the seemingly endless war and the truth about themselves. As the barriers between them begin to crumble, can they unravel the lies they've been taught to believe in order to restore the balance between humans, dragons, and magic before it's too late? And on January 31st in the US, The Cure for Curse by Diane K. Slearing. 12-year-old Garnet regrets that she doesn't know her family. Her mother has done her best to keep it that way, living far from the rest of the magical Careful clan and their dark, dangerous mansion known as Crossroad House. But when Garnet finally gets summoned to the estate, it isn't quite what she hoped for. Her relatives are strange and quarrelsome. Each room in Crossroad House is more dilapidated than the last, and she can't keep straight which dusty hallways and cobweb corners are forbidden. Then Garnet learns the family secret. The Giant Patriarch fights to retain his life by stealing power from others. Every accident that isn't an accident, every unexpected illness and unexplained disappearance grants Jasper Carrefour a little more time. While the Carrefour squabbles over who will inherit his soul when, if, he dies, Garnet encounters evidence of an even deeper curse. Was she brought to Crossroad House as part of the curse, or is she meant to break it? It's like the Haunting of Hill House for preteens. And it says the Addams family meets the Westingham. Exhilarating mystery about a modern magical dynasty trapped in the ruins of their once grand, now crumbling ancestral home. And this author wrote probably one of my all-time favorite books, Eleanor Roosevelt, The Ghost something. It's purple and I loved it. It's so good, so I cannot wait for this. And the cover is absolutely beautiful. Another favorite author that I've read more than one book. January 31st in the US, Where Black Flowers Bloom by Ronald L. Smith. In the land of Alkebulan, 12-year-old Asha is an orphan raised by Madame S., the provider of a traveling carnival. When Madame S. is attacked by ghoulish creatures, she manages to tell Asha before she dies, seek the underground kingdom where the black flowers bloom. Asha doesn't understand the mysterious words, but they launch her onto a page-turning quest to protect her people and stop an ancient evil. Along the way, she uncovers shocking secrets about the family she never knew and begins to find her place in the world as she discovers her own untapped powers. It says a gripping, richly imagined fantasy set in an alternate ancient African world in which a black girl finds her power and saves her people from evil. And Ronald L. Smith, I think I've read 3 of his books and I have more to read. And I just love his writing. Spooky, gothic, mysterious, upper middle grade, usually. Just so good. I'm so excited he has another book coming out. And lastly, on January 31st in the US, Simon Sort of Says by Aaron Bowe. Simon O'Keefe's biggest claim to fame should be the time his dad accidentally gave a squirrel a holy sacrament. Or maybe the alpaca disaster that went viral on YouTube. But the story the whole world wants to tell about Simon is the one he'd do anything to forget. The story in which he's the only kid in his class who survived a school shooting. 2 years after the infamous event, 12-year-old Simon and his family moved to the National Quiet Zone, the only place in America where the internet is banned. Instead of talking about Simon, the astronomers who flock to the area are busy listening for signs of life in space. And when Simon makes a friend who's determined to give the scientists what they're looking for, he'll finally have the chance to spin a new story for the world to tell. It says, it's a breathtaking testament to the lasting echoes of trauma, the redemptive power of humor, and the courage it takes to move forward without forgetting the past. I usually don't read stuff like that because I don't read a lot of contemporary anyway, but the cover and then just where he goes, the quiet land, like so many things, just like Bowls of Thunder, or I'll edit it in here. It's The Shape of Thunder by Jasmine Warga. This is the book I'm talking about. But that book, in that book, there was differences about it that made me want to read it, and it was about a school shooting. But I didn't think, because I'd never been in a school shooting. Columbine happened when I was graduating, so it was just starting when I was leaving. I think it happened the year before I graduated. So, but I have an event in my family's history where one person in our family murdered several children in our family and then themselves. So, and I don't know why it affected me, but I guess just guns. But so I don't know when I'll get that one, but it's an important, I'm glad that there are authors writing different stories that include these things, because unfortunately there are so many kids that have been through school shootings now, and so hopefully this will help some kids out there. Anyway, it's not as usual the amount that's usually in these videos, so I don't know if it's just warming its way back up as the year starts and they start pushing more out, or if I just missed a lot this time. But did you see any that you want to read? Let me know in the comments. And I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you would like to subscribe, I would love that if you'd like to. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.